Everyone has an opinion on the best way to lose weight. Whether it's working out, skipping breakfast, cutting calories, or removing carbohydrates from your diet, there are limitless tried and tested methods that people have used, each one with their own pros and cons. Every person's body is different, and while cutting out gluten might work for Becky in California, that doesn't mean it's going to work for you. That's not because of your body though, it's because of your brain. Maybe you like gluten. Maybe you want to lose weight and not have to give up on pizza or sandwiches. Well, the good news is that you can. At this point, the concept of fasting, and especially intermittent fasting, is not such a foreign phrase to most of us. While many diets focus on what you eat, fasting focuses on when you eat. If you do it right, you can consume all of your favorite food groups and lots of them and still get that summer six-pack. You just have to eat them at the right time and have enough restraint to allow your body to metabolize them properly before you eat again. That's the basic gist of it that most of us understand, right? But what actually happens to your body when you do this? How does it work? And why have we been told for the last 50 years that the only way to cut down was to cut calories, when in reality we only had to cut out a few hours? We'll be going through all of that and more in this video, examining what happens to your body when you stop eating according to science. Why do we eat? Humans eat to survive. We eat for pleasure too, but if you were stranded on a desert island with only raw fish as an option, the chances are that no matter how much you hate fish, you'd still figure out a way to eat it. Once you get hungry enough, that is, and that might take a while. Our bodies have actually evolved to be able to go without food for not just many hours, but even for several days or longer. In ancient times, before we had accountants and insurance brokers, there were only hunters and gatherers who evolved to survive by going for long periods without eating while they tracked game to hunt, or found cereals and nuts to eat. The average hunter-gatherer was definitely a lot thinner than most people are today. But don't get jealous of them. That was out of necessity. Today, with Netflix, PS5s, and office jobs, we spend far more time sitting down at a desk or on a couch than we do tracking wild deer across the savannah. This lack of activity, as well as access to Uber Eats, makes it much harder to maintain a healthy waistline. The extra calories we consumed, paired with less exercise, can lead to a higher risk of obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and other illnesses. Scientific studies are showing, though, that intermittent fasting could help to reverse those trends. But before we delve into that, let's take a look at what would happen to you if you were one of those hunter-gatherers, or if you really were stranded on a desert island. How would your body react to the stark difference in food access that we have available to us in 2022? What happens to your body when you stop eating? Let's start small. For the first 6 hours after eating, everything is pretty much normal, and your body is busy working as it is supposed to. It breaks down glycogen, which is the form of sugar our body converts the glucose and carbohydrates into, and stores it as energy which can fuel your cells. About 25% of this is used to power your brain alone, while the rest goes to powering muscle tissue and red blood cells. That 25% going to the brain is the most important in the short term because once that has been used up, we start to have problems. Ever heard the word hangry, the combination of being hungry and angry? Well, that is actually because your brain is running out of the energy it needs to make good decisions. Most people eat when this happens, so as not to end up breaking up with their girlfriend. But what would happen if you didn't? Well, actually, your body would realize pretty quickly that it hasn't been getting any more glycogen, and it would enter a phase as a result called ketosis. This means it is beginning to break down excess fat for energy. This is actually a good thing, and not uncommon. Athletes and marathon runners enter it when they run out of glycogen supplies, and diets that involve cutting out carbohydrates often try to trigger it in order to lose weight. But if you're in ketosis for too long, probably more than 72 hours, that is when things start to get hairy. Your brain cannot use long-chain fatty acids like it's getting from your fat supply, so it also switches modes and uses ketone molecules for energy instead of glucose. This can only provide 75% of its energy requirements, so although your body might be burning fat, your cognitive functions become impaired. After this 72-hour period, your body will start to break down its own proteins so that it can use the amino acids that form them to create glucose. In other words, your body basically metabolizes or digests itself and eats away at your muscle tissue just to stay alive. You need to eat at this point, or else the breakdown of your body will continue and death can occur around 3 weeks after you stop eating. That is, if you don't get sick from not having enough vitamins and minerals to power your immune system. We don't want that. And that's why on the desert island, you're going to end up eating the raw fish. In real life, though, if you're lucky, you can make the choice on when you eat. And if you decide to control how long you fast for so that your body goes into ketosis and converts fat into energy, but you don't go so long that you break down the wrong tissues or just simply get way too grumpy and bad at your job, then you can lose weight in a healthy and stable manner. It's worth stating here that you should check with your doctor before you start doing any of this stuff. Once again, everybody's body is different, and it's really difficult to find a stable and healthy balance between fasting and just not eating. Here are 5 simple and safe diets you can use to lose weight that focus on the intermittent fasting method. Number 1. Time-restricted eating. This is a form of intermittent fasting that involves fasting every day for 12 hours or longer and eating in the remaining hours. A popular example is the 16-to-8 method, which features a daily 16-hour fast and an 8-hour eating window where you can fit in basically as many meals as you want. This is pretty similar to what goes on in religious months like Ramadan, where Muslims only eat before sunrise and after sunset. Number 2. The 5-to-2 diet. This diet involves eating as you normally do 5 days of the week and restricting your calorie intake to 500 to 600 calories on the remaining 2 days. Those 2 days are going to be tough, but it means if you do it right, you can have as much fun as you like on the other 5. Remember though that your brain is going to be limited on those 2 days, so you might want to do it on the weekend so as to avoid doing badly at your job. And let's face it, no one wants to diet on the weekend. Number 3. Eat, stop, eat. This involves a 24-hour fast once or twice a week. The premise is that you can eat all you want all week within reason, but the catch is that you're going to have to survive a whole day and night where you do not eat or drink anything. It works, but only if you can do it. If you break after 16 hours or so and reach for a bagel, well, then all that eating you were doing during the week is probably going to catch up with you. Number 4. Alternate day fasting. This is pretty self-explanatory. You eat every other day. Kind of like the eat, stop, eat diet, but for real experts. The benefit is that on the days you're eating, you really can put as much food as you want into you. But this might be pretty uncomfortable, and those days off are going to be tough. If it works for you though, enjoy. Number 5. The warrior diet. This was one of the first popular diets to include any form of intermittent fasting. It involves eating small amounts of raw fruits and vegetables during the day, and eating one large meal at night. Not a bad way to do it, right? Especially if you don't mind fruits and vegetables. Aside from losing weight, there is one other bonus that might come from intermittent fasting. This is called autophagy. What is autophagy? Autophagy literally means self-eating. It refers to a process in which our cells get rid of unnecessary or damaged components within the cell or the body in order to ensure it functions as normal. Self-eating sounds like self-destruction, but this isn't the case. Autophagy actually helps clean up harmful material inside the cells and rejuvenates them. The benefit of autophagy is that it may completely destroy damaged molecules or recycle them into new components which can be used for cellular repair. Research indicates that intermittent fasting, calorie restriction, and ketosis can all trigger autophagy and basically unlock healing powers. However, a majority of studies have so far been conducted only on animals, and we are not entirely sure what cells are targeted by it. So at the moment, the scientific metrics of intermittent fasting and autophagy are not entirely known. Regardless though, intermittent fasting is a good way to lose and maintain a steady weight, but it really does take a lot of willpower and restraint. If you do it right, you should be able to live a healthy lifestyle. Just make sure that when you do eat, you are still getting your necessary nutrients and food groups. Beware though the power of hunger. During the hours you are not eating, your brain is definitely going to be slightly impaired, and you might not be that fun to be around. And what's the point in eating if you've got no one to share it with? Have you tried any form of intermittent fasting? Let us know in the comments below. Here are 2 more videos you might find interesting. Feel free to choose the one you like. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and share the video with your friends. And for more interesting videos on health, subscribe to the channel.